Today I'm going to demonstrate a 5th grade lesson on making a clay castle. I have an example of one clay castle right here. The tools that you will need for this would be a cardboard tube of any size that you choose. I have a clay knife and I have a wooden scoring stick. To get started, I have rolled out slabs, and you can have your students do this, or they can do it with a slab roller or a rolling pin. And what I'm going to do here is just see about how much of this slab that I need to cover my tube. So I'm going to kind of gently roll it. And this one just about fits, just where I need it to be. So I'm going to put this down at the edge. To get this to stay together, I'm going to need to slip and score it. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to kind of clean up my edges. I'm going to take this knife and just kind of make a nice straight edge on that side. And then you can have it go over your tube if you want to, but I think I'm just going to have it go just a little bit above it. So I'm going to cut this extra off, set that to the side. I'm also going to kind of clean these edges up too, so that I'll have a nice rectangle here to get started with. So I'm just cleaning off these edges. You could use a ruler if you wanted it to be nice and straight and precise, or you can just kind of eyeball it like I just did. So now I'm going to be rolling this. And since this part is going to be attaching right on here, that's where I need to do the slipping and scoring. I'm going to zoom in for you. And I'm going to go over here and take the scoring stick and just make tiny little scratch marks. Okay, that's called scoring. Now I'm not ripping all the way through the clay. It's kind of like a cat scratch. It would just barely scratch the top surface of the skin there. So then I'm going to also do it right here because those are the places that are going to touch. And I'm making my own Velcro right now. So to attach these, then I'm also going to need a little bit of water. So I'm just going to dip my finger in here, run it along those scratch marks I just made, run it along the ones down here, and roll that back over so that these marks are touching the other marks. And I'm going to press that down to form a seal. Now I have a lot of options. I can leave this the way that it shows. I could cut off this little tiny extra that you can see overlapping and just cut through that top layer. I can cut right down here and make sure they're just, or what I can do is just kind of blend it. And I think to make it a nice sturdy base, I'm just going to take my finger now and I'm just pushing the clay over. So you can see now I'm kind of making it so you can never see where it was attached. So I would do that all the way down this base of the castle. And so now I kind of have that form that I can start building on. Kind of just using my fingers to smooth the clay out anywhere that it might be rough. You can see I only used a teeny tiny bit of water when I was doing the slipping and scoring. The next thing I'm going to do is make a bottom, like a base for the castle. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is flip it over and take my scoring stick and really rough up the bottom, making those tiny little score marks. And then I'm going to take my extra clay that I had from kind of trimming up my rectangle earlier and kind of place this near an edge, because now that I've got all this space over here, I can use that leftover clay for something else, or I can give it to somebody next to me who might not have enough clay. So I'm going to kind of cut that off right here. And I'm going to kind of wiggle this, but do it gently, and I'm pushing down gently, not a lot, but just enough so when I pull up, I can kind of see where I need to go around and make those tally marks. Okay, so I'm scratching, 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 making little score marks around here to get that to slip and score on. So now my next thing would be the slip, which I'm just using a little bit of water on my fingertip, going over both of them. Now I'm going to press this down, and again, I'm not pressing super duper hard. I don't want to press that paper towel tube right out the other end. Now I'm going to take my clay knife and I'm going to go around, because I don't want this base sticking out. Some people might like it on a square or rectangle pedestal, and that's fine. But I'm just going to kind of trim around these edges. And now I can pick it up and I can kind of see where the two pieces of clay met. And I always like to take my finger and make it look like those two clay pieces were one clay piece. So So I'm just blending, blending, blending here. Okay. For my students in this class, on the bottom of their castle then, it's very important that they're going to write their teacher's initials. So they would write a 5L, and then they would write their name or their own initials there. Clearly so that somebody next to them can read it. So when it comes out of the kiln, they're sure to get their castle back. Now that I've got the base attached to the bottom, I'm able to start going ahead and doing different decorating type things and adding details. So I'm going to set that to the side right now and show you how you can make this domed top here that you see on this castle. So to do that, I've rolled out a slab. And I have a little lid here that I'm going to use to trace. And I'm not going to press it down like I would with a cookie cutter because the clay can get caught inside of there then. So I'm just going to put this down here, right on there. And then I'm going to use my knife and keep it as straight up and down as I can. And go right along the edge of that lid. And pull that away. So now I have a circle. And to make the circle into that dome lid, what I'm going to do is cut just a little triangle at first. And see? So it's like I just cut a little piece of pizza out of there. And now I would take this, bend it, and kind of wrap it over like that. And now I'm going to bring my base back and try it on there. Okay, so that seems to fit pretty nicely on my castle. Okay, so if I wanted this to be staying like that, I would then need to slip and score right underneath here to get those two pieces of clay to stick together. Would also need to slip and score to get the top then to stay on top of the castle. Another option for the top, if you don't want to do that, would be to make kind of a castle line. And so I'm going to cut right here just a little chunk out. Just like a little rectangle. Okay. And then I actually like to use this as a little tracer, so I'm going to move it over. I'm not going to cut this one out. Zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. So now I'm just cutting these little rectangle pieces all around my castle. Now, if you want the domed lid that I just showed, you wouldn't want to be doing this to the top of your castle. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm almost done here. Oops, I almost cut that one off, so I'm going to make sure I really get that back. So it looks like I have room for maybe one more kind of right in here. So now I have the top, and it is looking like a castle top here. And I can go ahead and do some other things. Like I could use these little pieces now to make stairs on the outside. And if I wanted to add stairs, I have to slip and score. You have to slip and score everything. So I'm going to make little tiny score marks. If I want that stair to attach here, little tiny score marks, tiny bit of water for the slip, and then I'm going to attach those. Really push that together. I even sometimes like to use the end of this stick to kind of push the clay around to give it a little added structure so that those right there can't fall off. Okay, and you could add stairs going all the way around, anything like that. I'm going to show a window now. So over here I'm going to draw with the scoring stick first. Drawing a little window. And that way if I make a mistake I can kind of rub it out with my finger. And now I'm going to use the clay knife and really gently cut out that window. Okay, so there's the window now. Okay. And I can go ahead and do windows like you see on this castle. I have rectangle windows on it. I have a flag at the top of there. I have the door propped open. So there's a lot of different endless possibilities that the students have with these castles. So they can continue adding things and taking things away any way that they want. Like I said, I can now use these to kind of make stairs. Just make sure that anything that you are adding onto your clay that you are slipping and scoring. This is a 5th grade lesson on making a clay castle.